Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Yasir and I am here with South Lake Islamic Center, and we will be discussing about the organization and how it is and what they are doing, inshallah, to support the Ummah, inshallah. So, without further ado, I take it to you, Michaels.
Jazakallah, Jazakallah khairan, Yasir. Appreciate that.
No problem, inshallah. So, if you can just let us know, firstly, just introduce yourself, inshallah, and introduce the Islamic Center.
Absolutely. Just want to extend thanks to the radio station for hosting us today. Barakallahu fikum. And yeah, my name's Ayaz. I'm a local GP and been involved with the project since 2017 or so. Alhamdulillah. And I'm representing as the fundraising lead the South Lakes Islamic Center. Um, Subhanallah, it's been a interesting few years, to say the least. And the organization's primary purpose and vision is to make South Lakes, which is in England, South Cumbria, near the iconic Lake District, to make it a place of choice for Muslims to move and stay in. That's the real vision and the mission. The way we're going about that is by um, producing a masjid that's both welcoming to all Muslims and also an icon and a symbol for Islam, so that the local population and the tourists have something to look up to in the site. It does look beautiful if anyone's seen any pictures, but this is essentially who I'm representing, inshallah, and this is the effort.
So, Alhamdulillah, you are based in South Lake, where Peak District is, or is that Lake District?
So yeah, good question. So people do ask, where is the South Lakes? Where is the masjid? So it's in a beautiful green location in Dalton in Furness. This is just to give you an idea. It's in South Lake, South Cumbria region, and it's an area where there's little towns, villages, and hamlets, and it's about 20-minute drive from Lake Windermere. And Lake Windermere is like the largest natural lake in England. It spans more than 11 miles, and it attracts unbelievable attention nationally and internationally. So there's many tourists, that visit the area, and it's about an hour drive from the closest mosque, which is in Lancaster. So it's further northwest from Lancaster, and Lancaster is about 20-minute drive from Preston. So just to give you an idea where it is, so Preston, then forward Lancaster, and then you're going around into a cul-de-sac to this region, this beautiful region into the lakes. So this is where it is. It's a beautiful place, and alhamdulillah, I must say that if you were to visit ever, you'll see that, like the Peak District, as you mentioned, the Lake District as well is of remarkable beauty, and the scenery is mesmerizing. So we've tried to make the masjid fit into its natural habitat and natural environment, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So, Sheikh Ayaz, you mentioned about, obviously, you purchased the property before 2021 or beforehand?
Well, the key thing with this Measure project is different to other projects. There's actually this piece of land that was purchased 2017, or after 20 just after 2017, near COVID. Um, this piece of land, it was unutilized. It was a commercial site, almost a wasteland, and the team purchased this land. Alhamdulillah, we managed to gain pre-planning permission on it, and on top of that, we managed to then get architects involved to make beautiful designs for what might fit on this land. And so, a lot has happened since then. It's just what's been difficult is the permissions. They've taken long. You can imagine we've been working on this for a good 7 years or longer now, and the permissions fully only came through at the beginning of this year, alhamdulillah. And so we're now ready to,
Alhamdulillah.
yeah, we're now ready to go, alhamdulillah. So at the moment, what sits there is a piece of land, and as of 5 days ago, the foundation work started. We had a small intimate gathering, and the foundation work was kicked off, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So, for the initial idea, was it a group of brothers and sisters that came together within the community of Dalton?
Yes, the community is growing, and there were a small number of us that had come together. Actually, you know, this project was in the minds and hearts of the local Muslims for a very long time because, we had people living in the area as doctors, as engineers, as business people, and particularly a few doctors. They had it in their heart to establish a masjid since 40 odd years, but there were hurdles put in place. Mashallah, they did manage to secure a very small place rented or granted by the hospital initially, because that's the main one of the main employers there. And they were then, we were all kicked out of that place actually, and so then they relocated this space into the hospital itself, so that barred the community. So whereas the place they offered beforehand was outside the hospital, so people could come even from the community, it was relocated into the hospital. So then that barred everyone from coming. And so then the old team and the new team came together, and we basically decided that the best way would be to build a purpose-built masjid, because then you've got the men's facilities, you've got the ladies' facilities, you've got the ghusl facilities, you've got children madrasa as well, and you're really catering for everyone then, as opposed to um, catering for just a few. And because of the place it's in, you really need women's facilities there as well. Because when tourists come, and we all had the time when we need to pray, and the women folk might be left to the side, or they might have to use a men's section, or they might not even be allowed in. We didn't want that difficulty. So this is why we've, alhamdulillah, gone for this particular method in terms of building from the ground up, alhamdulillah. And at large, things have been facilitated, alhamdulillah. Things have been moving as expected, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Even for from a location perspective itself, because it's right within the Midlands, and also the amount of beauty of Allah's creation you can see from there. When I was hiking through the place, I saw it myself, alhamdulillah. As in, not for the masjid, as in just the beauty of the nature around it and surrounding it. It could like become a iconic masjid for UK, if that makes sense.
Yes, well, yes, it's a woodlands. The woodlands there, and the beauty in the area, the scenery is mesmerizing. I mean, and we are trying to cater that this masjid is open for everyone to come. I mean, I'm not sure whether people are aware or have been to the Cambridge Central Masjid, and we can in no way do justice and be any way similar to the Central Masjid. However, our ethos, we do sincerely pray, is similar to that environment where it's not simply a masjid for a particular group or a particular peoples or a particular locality. Actually, the Lake District is for everyone, and so the masjid as well should reflect that. And this is what we're intending, inshallah.
Inshallah. And while you saying that you had obviously trouble, because obviously the location of it as well, that we were just talking beforehand, that there was some projects that just got approved and just started going on a few days ago, right?
So this is it. So when you look at the area, there's absolutely no masjid in 50-mile radius, and the location is such that the predominant makeup is, of course, indigenous Caucasian people, and there are many ethnic minorities there that are serving in the hospitals, that are serving in the local engineering firms, and serving also in the businesses. So the population of converts as well is growing. So the need of the masjid is ever the more important. And because things are now off the ground, like just as of 5 days ago, the first of the foundations were poured in, and now there's a construction plan in place. So, there's a clear roadmap as to where we're headed over the year. It's ever the more important that we have the funds available to be able to continue the project. Just to give you an idea, if should we not manage to raise the funds, we have funds remaining from our previous fundraising round, which was 2022. Uh, that will only last us to around April, May time. Alhamdulillah, in a Ramadan, we managed to raise a good £200,000 so far with the online.
Alhamdulillah.
However, we have £800,000 left for this phase. Um, and £800,000, and alhamdulillah, 14 or so or less days left of Ramadan. We're really reaching out to generous donors in places like Leicester and beyond to dig deep and give, because the project may have to cease if that doesn't happen.
So on that aspect, even for I'd imagine as you said, the local population is mainly Caucasian, if that makes sense. So like that would be their first contact for Muslims as well, right? For the people that are working there and have moved to that location.
Exactly. And this is why if you see the masjid, it's not imposing. It blends in nicely and naturally into the environment. It's purposely designed, alhamdulillah, to be welcoming, alhamdulillah. Yeah, so this is the beauty of it.
Alhamdulillah. So, with regards to your fundraising, if you could just mention to the listeners, what are you fundraising for, and how can they help, and how can they even help fundraise for the wonderful project that you are doing?
Absolutely. Jazakallah khair. I really appreciate it for you to raise this particular point, because this is the most important point, for us in particular, because we really need to reach out to you to, to help us in this regard, so that the work doesn't stop. Um, I just want to share the phases of the work with you so that you have an appreciation of what's been done and where we're headed. Um, so, phase one, which has been named Badr, took place between 2020 and 2025. And in essence, we spent in excess of £500,000, and we spent that on purchasing the land, in planning, in doing surveys, environmental, ecology, transport, getting parking approved, on the architectural design, and then fulfilling the pre-commencement conditions. So, making the pavement, doing the highway works, engaging the council's key stakeholders. That was all done between these 5 years, alhamdulillah. And just beginning of January, alhamdulillah, we managed to January, February, we managed to tick off all the back boxes. So the council approved everything and said that we can actually start the foundation works. And this is where our current phase begins. So our current phase is phase two, and phase two is the watertight shell build. Phase two has been named Khandaq. It may well be, it may well transpire why it's been named as such over the next few weeks or so. However, this is an ongoing phase, so this is occurring from 5 days ago up until the end of the year, and it's progressing quite fast. There's quite a momentum going here now, because the construction timeline is progressing, and the first of the foundations have been laid. And subhanAllah, we had a small team meeting. It was quite emotional. We had du'as at the site, and we've committed that we really must raise more than 1 million during Ramadan. And so we have the £1 million Ramadan challenge. And so, like I said, we've raised 200k of that, alhamdulillah. That will buy us some time now, and move things up until April, May. But we have 800k left, and that will fund directly this phase. You know, we're all volunteers on the group, alhamdulillah. So all the money given will go directly to the construction of the masjid. And so
Alhamdulillah.
this is phase two, and this is what we're kind of currently engaging in, and this is what we're working hard to raise funds for. And just to give you a bit of foresight about phase three, um, that's been named Hudaybiyah, um, and that will start inshallah beginning of 2026, and that's because, you know by that point the watertight shell build will be fully complete, and so long as there's no cash flow deficit and there's no issues with the funding, then we can start with decorating the masjid internally, with the fixtures, with the fittings, um, adorning it, making it look elegant and comfortable, and welcoming to people. And we may well be able to move in. There's an 80% chance we may be able to move by Ramadan, but at least between small and big Eid, we'll be able to actually call it a fully fledged masjid, and that would be the final phase, and that phase will cost 1 million. So in total, it's a 2.6 million project.
Inshallah. So what kind of so alhamdulillah, your stages were nicely named, alhamdulillah, after battles, because it is a struggle for even getting the funds in and actually carrying out the work itself is a struggle, especially by dealing with a lot of permissions from the local council and the local government.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
uh, so w- what kind of sorry about that. So
If I
what
could just
kind is
if I could just step in, sorry, I'm just trying to rename and let the Badr, Khandaq, and Hudaybiyah have been chosen for very specific reasons, and they very much resonate with each phase. And we just ask the viewers to pray that we are successful in raising the funds to fund the masjid project, because there's a real risk here. You see, the risk is of non-existence. And so if we have the funds flowing in, and we'll of course let you know the link, a direct link to give donations, the work then can continue and there's no risk of it stopping. And then inshallah, if you were to be a tourist in the Lake District, you can inshallah come and visit the masjid, and see the beauty.
so at the moment, just for the benefit of our listeners, the link for helping with that is help HELP dot SLIC dot UK. So it's help dot SLIC dot UK. That's South Lakes Islamic Center dot UK.
Yes, yes, that's it. That's exactly right. That's help. It's very easy to remember as well. Help dot slick with a C.
Yeah.
Okay, and alhamdulillah, if you're, and that's a direct link via our website, so that will go directly into the charity bank account. Um, uh, Alhamdulillah. And the key question people have is tends to be, are you a registered charity? Do you get accounts done? We are a registered charity, and we're on charity commission's website, so we are searchable on there, and our charity number is on the website. And alongside that, the the charity is actually externally and independently audited as well regularly. So, you know, we're very transparent, and have tried to keep the effort professional, so that there's, no doubt, and there's complete trust in knowing where the money is going to.
Alhamdulillah. And even with that, I'm assuming of course it's sadaqah jariyah. Are you taking sadaqah an lillah, right?
Yes, exactly. Sadaqah and lillah, sadaqah jariyah and lillah are applicable, alhamdulillah, to the masjid project. And if people have unwanted interest or haram money in their disposal, this won't be used for the masjid construction, but it will be used for non-masjid related activities that need to be ticked off naturally when you're building a masjid. Some of that might involve the council, for example, and which is somewhat separate to the masjid in some ways. And so that too is acceptable, but we just say that don't donate that via the normal means. You give that via bank transfer via the website, and reference it as impure, or email us. And the email is on the same link that a brother has provided, help.slick.uk.
Subhanallah. For the project itself, for me, I'm looking at the photos obviously on line, so I'm even amazed by just the architecture that went into it, because I look at the UK structure right now for their architecture and that stuff. It's lagged behind by miles compared to the rest of the world. And just on the architecture itself, could you add anything to it that will describe it well for the listeners?
You're right. I mean, sometimes seeing is believing, and even seeing a picture that speaks a thousand words. To mention it by words is difficult to describe. But just imagine, it doesn't. I don't think if anyone was to look at it and was to pinpoint it, and you to ask, what is this building? I don't honestly think people would maybe initially think mosque. Oh, the reason I say that is because, as if you were to go to China, or if you were to go to Spain, and if you were to look at the beautiful structures that are there, I don't think people would be able to pinpoint and say this is a mosque unless you're local. Why? Because the very phenomena of massages is a very, how do you say, naturally local thing. I mean, if you want to build a new masjid, purpose-built masjid in the UK, somehow it has to reflect the beauty of the UK. And if you're building it in the Lake District, it has to reflect the beauty of the Lake District. So from that perspective and that angle, you know, it's got quite a number of windows, mashallah, so letting in natural light. It's naturally facing the Qibla. If you stand on the roof terrace, you'll be able to see greenery all around with hills. At the back, there's a little tarn, which is a small lake, and there's a woman's mezzanine area as well that is offset, so you can see above the trees, inshallah, as well. And it's it is a one of a kind, mashallah. Alhamdulillah, this is a masjid. I think people, when they see it constructed, they will be very happy to call it a masjid. And I imagine this is the reason this council has been supportive as well. They found the project, alhamdulillah, to be as welcoming as it is, alhamdulillah. They found the structure to be very warm and welcoming.
Subhanallah, it complements the environment. It doesn't stick
Yes.
out like a sore thumb, if that makes sense.
Exactly, alhamdulillah. Yeah, this was the intention of the architects and also of the internal team, that you know we want to demonstrate that Islam does have a home in Britain and in the lakes, and just as the NHS and other organizations, care homes, they wouldn't really be able to function without the Muslim contribution. Likewise, society at large, it needs structures like this so that it can breed understanding, and also people can develop awareness, and particularly the new Muslims, mashallah, they need a place like this. There's so many new Muslims in the area, mashallah. I can name a few brothers off the top of hands. Some of are involved in the team. Ali, Ben, mashallah, Jamie's there, Joe's there. There's a few brothers, mashallah, that I can
MashaAllah.
call names that are, that are converts, and we all need a place like this.
So, Sheikh Ayaz, we've got about 40 seconds or so left. If you want to say any closing remarks for obviously South Lake Islamic Center.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. I mean, I guess the main closing remark would be that, look, join us in our vision to make South Lakes uh, a place of choice for Muslims, and a place where Muslims actually can call their home, and people that are there, they can develop and nurture their identities, the children, so that they have a madrasa and they can learn about Islam, and the elders, so they have solace in knowing that there's a funeral facility and they don't have to be taken to Lancaster or further afield to have janazah rites done. You know, join us in giving, and help.slick.uk is the place to give. If you do, it would be of tremendous help, and you ensure that the work doesn't stop, because that's the risk right now, that the work stops April, May, and we have to pay extra to get construction workers off site. We don't want to do that. So, Jazakallah khairan for listening, and thank you for giving generously to the project.
Jazakallah. Assalamu